Classic. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's me, Darcy, joined today by the only person I've ever known to fit his entire body inside a Pringle can, Kris.
Look, it was a weird day.
Yes, I wouldn't lie to you about that at all.
No.
He just called me up and was like, hey Darcy, I'm stuck. And I was like, okay. And I walked into his room and he's just like, Pringle can with his arms, little fingers sticking out of it.
It's tough to get out. Didn't have enough finger strength.
Yes. Well, you are weak and dying.
Wow. Always bring up the dying.
It's the truth. We have to live by the truth. Anyhow, as always, welcome to the Unnamed podcast that still currently has no name, hence Unnamed podcast.
Maybe it'll just stay as Unnamed podcast.
You know what? It probably will because it would be too much effort for me to actually think of a name and then come up with a name and then make that name onto the podcast.
You thinking of coming up with the name be the same thing?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Trust me, I know these things because I'm a man who does these things.
Okay.
Yes, so welcome back. As usual, I'm going to start this off with something that just grinded my gears today. Something that I found really fucking annoying, but also bleak as well. So,
Oh, okay, yes.
So yeah, on the news today, right? Khloe Kardashian had announced that she had on her Twitter or something like that, I really couldn't care less, that she had some health-related news. Be that she was better from previous illness, or that she was no longer better and had currently gotten illness. Something like that, I assume. As I said, I don't really know.
Okay.
The only reason that I bring this up is because, of course, overnight in the Ukraine, Russia launched missiles at civilian targets. Yet Khloe Kardashian's Twitter was bigger news than that. And I was sitting there and I went, well, isn't that, one, incredibly annoying because how is that actual news? And two, a bleak look at the world. There is a war going on that it has war crimes happening. But someone who's famous for reality TV has Twitter news, so that's actually more important than that. And I was just kind of like, oh my god.
I don't really...
Is the world
have much to say on that one.
Did we... Are we in purgatory? Did we miss that? Did we miss the world ending and us dying and...
You know, that would explain a lot.
Giant fireball.
Would explain so much.
Like, I could have missed it. I'm pretty, I've been known to be... Oblivious. That's the one. I'm just like, did we miss that?
We might have. Maybe that's the reason I have all these issues.
No, that's just because you're a failure.
Shit.
And actually, speaking about your issues, you brought me big news today. You're finally getting retested because you failed your last one.
Look. No, I had an improvement of 2.2%.
That's a failure, right?
Well, they wanted 12.6.
Yeah, so that's what we in the biz call
a failure.
But that's... Yeah, no, that's bad, dude. That's a bad failure, dude.
It's only 6 times less than what they wanted, roughly.
Yes.
Little under 6, but...
We were hoping to see this. We saw this. We think you should see a specialist. Hospital. You don't need to see a specialist. You're just going to see a GP.
We're going to get you to do these tests to see if we think you need to see a specialist.
Again. We're going to get you to do them again. Because, as I said earlier...
Technically, I'm going to do one of them again.
As I said earlier. You failed this test last time, but now it's been, about 3 months since then?
No, it hasn't been 3 months.
2 months? It's been a while. You did that a long time ago.
If it's not 2 months, it's just under 2 months.
Okay, so it's about 2 months. So it's been 2 months since you've done that. So what we're going to do is give you another 2 months, and then we'll test you again. And if you're breathing...
No, not even another 2 months, then we'll test you again. It's like, what we're going to do is we're going to give you these tests. We might not see these results for up to 2 months. But what we're not going to tell you is you're not going to do one of the tests for over 2 months.
Okay, so we're going
because I'm still going to wait more than 2 months.
So we've got 2 months, a bit over.
Yeah.
To wait until you do the test.
And it's already been 2 weeks since that appointment.
Yep. And then after you do the test, it could be 2 months before you see the results?
Well, no, those ones should be back almost immediately.
Oh, excellent.
Like those ones, like when I did it initially, I went straight to the doctor talking
So
about.
this is like, because the test you've already done could take up to 2 months, we're not even going to do the other test until those results are almost ready to come back?
I don't know. Like I've got to wait to find out when the echocardiogram's even booked.
Oh, fuck, okay, right.
So I don't even know. I haven't even, like, I just got the letter yesterday to say, hey, your lung capacity test has been booked.
But I like that. I like that hospitals are now going, oh, you're having difficulty breathing and you failed this test? Well, much like a high school, we will give you a second chance to pass it.
Yes.
Here is your second opportunity. Hey, don't fail it again. Hey. Because, no, seriously, don't fail it again because we are seriously putting this off so far. You'll probably be dead by the if you fail it.
Yeah, probably.
You are likely going to die. Always fun. Always.
100%. It's a fun way to go as well. Like, I mean, those attacks.
Gasping for air. Hands scratching at the door.
It's a bit of everything. Gasping for air, and when you manage to get it in, trying to get rid of it, get rid of it, get it out. Oh,
Trying to get rid of it.
yeah. Well, not the air specifically. The CO2, of course, is what you're trying to get rid of. But trying to get that out is just as hard as trying to get it in.
I breathe in so much I can't breathe out.
No, what the fuck's happening?
No. Oh. Isn't our health system a bit of a joke?
A little bit. Nah, it's a lot. It's quite a big joke.
It's just so depressing. It's kind of like, of course we live in Australia, so we have universal healthcare.
We do, yes.
But it's kind of like, I really hope you don't need to use it because we are going to fuck you around as much as possible.
Yes. Yes, very true.
Oh, man. That's funny.
But look, it could get worse before then too. Like 100%. Like the preventative's maintaining it at the moment, but it's like barely maintaining it. Barely maintaining it at the moment, but it's going to be that thing of like, hey, don't use it 36 hours beforehand. Like, cool. So I've got a day for my body to go, hey, I need that stuff again.
I just want to point this out because it's something that's been happening so often recently, but never used to happen, and that is you keep your puffer in your hand at all time while you're here. It's like literally never more than a foot away from you.
It's very true.
It's like,
yes.
Okay, I need to use my hands. Where can I put this? Right, there's a shelf that is about 30 centimeters away from me. That is safe distance. Oh wait, 35? No, too far away. And it's like. It's like, as I said, I sit there and I go like, it's not good.
Not really.
It's not. It's not good. It's
You gotta go to the gym and it's like, hey, like, off is like 15 meters over there. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Yes, but also you then go like, hold on while I suck this thing down for like 20 minutes.
I keep it in my pocket after that.
That's you sucking it down. But
I assumed that was it.
I just. Oh my god, it just blows my mind completely and utterly that it's like, yeah, you're your personal doctor. Yeah, no, this is pretty bad, the hospital. Yeah, but he's saying that, and he doesn't work for us, so we don't trust him. He's a doctor, we don't trust him. We're going to do it ourselves, and it's going to be better.
Well, like, I'm also looking at it like, they really need to tell the GPs around town that there's only one respiratory specialist in town, and they only work through the public system. Private, yes, private system. My bad.
There's only one specialist in town. They only go public.
Maybe I'm still not with it today.
So they help everyone anyway?
No, so they only go private. So it's that thing of like,
your GP needs to book it through private.
They didn't need to book it through private, or like when they list off like 3 names to you, it's like, hey, if you see any one of these 3, they're pretty good. Like, I know these ones are in town, and you get to the hospital, it's like, so we don't actually have any in town except for this one that won't see you.
They left.
So it's like,
why'd they leave?
Oh, cool.
Because their health system is a joke.
Yeah, and it's just like that's great because my GP was under the impression that we had like 3 in town.
Your GP was wrong.
Yes. But I have found out that the one that does only private does public ones. But referral has to come from the hospital, and it also has to be an emergency. So if they go, you can wait till he gets an appointment in Brisbane, they won't even attempt to refer you to the one in town. But if they're like, we need him to be seen within the next week, it's probably not going to happen in Brisbane, so we'll have to go to him.
Can I be honest? That's probably for the best anyway. Who would want to go to Brisbane? It sucks.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things of like, yeah, my brother lives down there, so it's like, yeah, I can stay there at least and save some cost.
I can go to Brisbane, but it's Brisbane. I hate Brisbane. Like, of all the capital cities in Australia, there are only two that I genuinely... let me try that again. Only two that I genuinely dislike having to go to. And that is Brisbane.
Yes.
Hobart.
Okay, fair.
And I only hate Hobart because it's on Tasmania. And you know how I feel about Tasmania.
Yeah,
you know how I feel about it.
I'm aware.
Like Tasmanians always being Tasmanians. No, I actually don't hate Hobart. Hobart's relatively okay.
And to think,
it's kind of like most
this place almost became a capital city instead of Brisbane.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I'm aware. Like I think it was here, Brisbane, and Townsville.
It would be Townsville.
There were the three places they were looking at, and it's like, yeah, why the fuck would you make it Rockhampton? Why is that even a thought?
The thing is, Rockhampton has large expanses of expansion, but
it's true
for expanding. But again, like, it doesn't have sea access, which is a big issue.
Yes.
Like, oh, you could go to Yeppoon. It's like, yeah, no, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that. Oh, I drove out to Yeppoon the other day.
Yeah,
I was stuck in roadworks for over half an hour.
Oh, that's right. They're doing roadworks here again, aren't they?
They're doing roadworks everywhere. Like, literally everywhere.
See, I didn't.
Because I actually had to go out to Emu Park, but there were roadworks on the Coral Road. There were roadworks on the Emu Park Road. There were roadworks on the Yeppoon Road. And I was like, oh, and there were roadworks on the roads between Yeppoon and Emu Park. And I was just like...
You know, I didn't notice any of these. Only because I was driving there at like almost 10 o'clock at night.
You know.
But
I was just like,
I
was like, how the fuck? How in the literal fuck is nearly every road? The only road that I didn't drive on was the coastal road because of how fucking long it is.
Okay, I did go on the... No,
I went through
I kind of went on the coastal road to a degree.
Yeah, okay.
But it wasn't... No, I went to Camp Hill, and then went there for a bit, and then I was going to head back into Rocky, and I'm like, no, I want to drive for a bit longer, so that's when I
so you went to the coastal road. Yeah, you would have been on the coastal road, because you've got to be on the coastal road to go to your camp.
Yeah, no, but I came back to the main roundabout to head to either go back into Yeppoon, Rocky, or Emu Park, and then I hung a left there, so I wasn't on the coastal road.
But you went back onto the coastal road? Because you would have gone from there around. You wouldn't have cut through back onto the Lakes Creek Road, entry road, which is faster, but...
No, I just followed that road.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So you would have gone back onto the coastal road.
Oh, okay, fair, yeah.
Because it...
I didn't really notice the coast while I'm on that road, though.
It doesn't... It cuts back out towards the coast when you go to, Kinka. That's when it cuts back out to the coast.
Oh, that's right over there. Yeah.
So you can come back in and then go back onto the coast road, which I think is slightly faster because coming back in saves you a bit of time. But anyway, yeah, no, I was just shocked, and as I said, I was shocked and appalled by the fact that every single road that I drove on, which was like half of the main roads to those places. In fact, I would say even more than half of them, because as I said, I went the back road. Mm-hmm. So the inland route from Yeppoon to Emu Park instead of the coastal road. So I missed one, but then I drove on all the other roads that go that way because I was literally on the way back in. I was trying to see which one was the fastest, and I was like,
at the moment, none of them.
At the moment, still going through Coral is the fastest because you missed the big Yeppoon one. And
true.
And fortunately, at the time I was driving there, the roadworks on the Lakes Creek Road, or it's not the Emu Park Road, which goes to Lakes Creek, was really quick. Like, they literally saw me coming, were like, go, 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 and I was like, I'm going. But
yeah, no, I didn't. Why are they doing them there? Like, I didn't even see
I think
any
they
of them.
might have just been resurfacing parts of the road again.
Always
But
again.
what annoys me the most is that
I suppose trucks do drive on that road more than Boone Road.
what annoys me the most is that well, they have recently, haven't they? Because the Yeppoon Road's been being resurfaced, like not even repaired or anything, just resurfacing it. We're not widening it, we're not doing it, we're just resurfacing it for over a year now.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a while.
And I'm sitting there going, it's been 12 months. This is probably, less than 600 metres of road?
Honestly, I thought they were done at a certain point because...
I thought they were widening it.
Well, that's what I initially thought. But then it got to a certain point because I drove there one day. I'm like, oh, all of the roadwork signs are gone. And then the next time I drove on it again, I'm like, why are the roadwork signs back?
They just packed them up for the night.
Why? Because all of traffic cones were gone, all the signage was gone, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, here they are again. We're doing work here again. So,
no, I get that. But I was just fuming because
they even put the lines back on the road.
Well, guess what? The lines are off the road again.
Jesus Christ.
But yes, so for over 12 months they've been pretty much working on this, which I think is even more damning than we've been working on this for 12 months. They were working on it, they finished it, now they're working on the same patch of road again. Which actually, Queensland, that makes a lot of sense for Queensland. That is how we do roadworks. We're not going to do it right the first time. We might do it right the second time, but by God, we will not do it right the third time.
No, that's asking too much.
Yeah, no, as I said, I've never been in a place that has so much roadworks happening on the same roads. Like seriously? I think since we moved here, that they've been working on the Rockhampton to Gladstone Road. Like, literally since we moved here, which is, Kalish was 3 at the time, so 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So, since that point to now, I don't think I've ever driven on the road to Gladstone. To be fair, I don't drive it that often anymore.
I think I've been on it once without roadworks.
I don't think I've ever been on it once without roadworks. I've been on it at times when they've been no active roadworks. So all the signs are still up, but they hey, you only have to slow down to 80 instead of 40.
Yeah.
And it's
which is annoying.
Let me just say, okay, the one time I drove on it like that, I was like, freedom.
Hey.
I was like, I'm not waiting in traffic jams. There's not 20 caravans ahead of me. Freedom.
It's freedom.
And then...
freedom. It's and this is normally 100 k's an hour.
Yep. Literally 2 days later, I'm back on that road and 40, and I'm like, no.
Motherfuckers.
Thought it was finally done. It's only taken them, how many years now?
I don't know. It's like they took them 2 years to do Alexander Street. And then I'm pretty sure they were doing work on it again last time I was on it a few weeks ago. I'm like, what the fuck have they done?
They're doing more work at... Okay, so, right, I found this out, and then I had a fucking laugh about it. You know the traffic lights at Alexander Farm Street?
Yeah.
Yep. They're doing work there. What work, I can't tell you.
Alexander's Farm Street, there's no lights there. Oh, wait, that's those ones. Never mind.
Because remember,
Alexander Street's splits off. And
it's Alexander Street, and then there's a curve, so you have to come back down onto Alexander Street because of the railway.
Yeah, I did. I forgot about that, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing work there to fix the flow of traffic. And I'm sitting there going, it's already got traffic lights.
It does. Alright, they've never had, lines there to basically go, if you're in this over here, you can only turn left and this one's going straight. What it is, if you're coming from Hollingsworth Street, if you pull up to those traffic lights and you stop, the way you deal with those lights are, if you get to it, if you want to go straight, you move to the right-hand side. It's only a left turn. So left is literally only for people turning left, because the amount of people that turn left there, you're better off being on the right to go straight.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming from the other side, though, it's the reverse. You get on the left to go straight, only turning right. So if you're on the right-hand side, you're turning right.
I can't.
Having said that, most people that go there understand that and will do it. You will occasionally get someone who's never really drives that and will always move to the right to go straight. And so, you dickheads.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to imagine what you were just saying about those roads. And I'm like, I don't know which one Hollings Street is.
Oh, so if you go through the traffic lights coming from... so let's say you're coming off Alexander Street, then going to the lights.
Yeah.
That side, the left side is
where the little cafe.
Yes, so the cafe. So you're on the same side as the cafe.
Yep.
If you're in the left lane, you're turning left or going straight. They're your two options. If you're in the right, you're turning right. But if you're coming from the other side, that's Hollingsworth Street there.
Oh.
If you're coming
right, so going on to Farm Street, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, yeah. So if you're going on there, it's like... No, not to get onto Farm Street. You're already on Farm Street.
Oh, okay. I was going to say...
So it's like, so you're at the lights, cafe's there.
Hmm.
Left is to turn left, go straight. Right's to go right.
Yep.
And that's it. Follow that and it will move fine. But you'll get the occasional person that won't. You're coming from the other side, so coming on from that other turn.
It's because there's like... Do you know what's down there on the line? Browns and Rocky Zone down there. When you're at those traffic lights, right, and you're looking down towards Hollingsworth Street, so you're next to the little tuck shop, whatever it is on your left. Cal's.
So it's on your left, straight down.
It's on your right.
The depots, yeah.
Yeah, so it's on your right. You're on Farm Street.
Yes.
What's to your left is like a kitchen shop, like a bench maker, two transport depots.
Yes.
And
as you're coming out, you've got Dobinson's.
No, that's further down. So everything, like the only thing you would go down there, because the only thing that I know is down there is a fire station, an emergency services hub.
Yes.
And it's like where they like store shit. And it's like, so that's what's that way. There's really no reason to go that way. No one ever goes that way.
It is true. Unless they need to get to one of those places. But that's the thing. That's why it's there. But you go to the other side and it's like, there's so much stuff down there that it's constantly people turning down there. So it's like, yeah, no, I'm not getting in that lane because it's just people turning left and it'll probably go red before I can get anywhere.
Yeah, well, that's when you're going out along the Alexander Street.
The extension of the Alexander
Yeah,
Street.
and there is again, not a great deal, but pretty much, like, because I used to work out there, the way, like, coming back along Alexander Street, it was, like, the easiest thing because it was, like, left or right, right?
Yeah.
Which way are you turning? Get into that lane.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Right?
Because it was like, oh, who's going straight? One out of, like, every 1,000 cars that went there was going straight.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Left or right. And it's like, okay. But, I'm just like, and they're like, oh no, we need to get the traffic flowing there easier. And I'm like, I would say 90% of the traffic that runs through there is either running straight, so it's really just the traffic lights that are holding them up.
Yes.
Or they're trucks. And nothing you do there other than demolishing everything that's on the corners and making these giant truck turning lanes is going to help that traffic flow.
No.
And I highly doubt you're demolishing the shit that's on the corners, considering it's like, what, an old folks' home, a vacant lot, a shop of some sort that I've never actually paid attention to what they sell, and that little fucking
Well, I think it's
store.
literally just that's it. Wait, there's a shop on the other corner? Oh my god.
There's something there. There is something there that is shop fronty-esque.
I don't even know what it is.
I couldn't tell you what it is. It's like a white building with a blue sign. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I drove past it every day, several times a day.
That's
how unimportant it is.
It's that's.
But yeah, I just go like,
the only thing like
I can't see why you've got to do work there.
Is they're probably going to put lanes there, so it's like, hey, so they're going to make it so that if you're turning left, that's the only thing you're doing in that lane. So they're going to
fuck it up,
fuck everything up. Yeah, that's probably what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? But that's
because it's the thing
that's like everything. Do you
well, they'd have to.
That roundabout, you know that roundabout just down the hill?
Yeah.
That is the biggest fuck up I think that they've ever made.
Yes,
and I don't understand why on a roundabout they're like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to have all lanes of traffic approaching it be 2 lanes.
Yes.
Then 1/4 of the roundabout is going to be 1 lane. Right? And now half the roundabout is 1 lane. Half of the roundabout is a 1 lane roundabout with every single intersection coming up to it.
There's only
all
one.
Entrances are double lane.
And
all
3
exits
of the 4 are double lane.
Are
One
they
of
all
them's
double
like-
lane? Oh yeah, because
the one
of course
coming
the
off
one
going
that
on to Carolina.
only had the single lane that you could go through is a single lane off. And I sit there and I go, which demented son of a bitch? So all traffic coming onto this approach is in 2 lanes of traffic. But we're now going to have a bunch of sections that only let 1 lane of traffic through. It's like...
Don't get me wrong, I know why they did it. And it's because people are stupid.
Yes.
So it's, again, that whole lowest common denominator thing. It's because you get into the right lane to go straight. And so come out of the second exit. But the people that you just passed, if they wanted to go straight, and they saw that you were in the centre lane, they just assumed you were going right rather than actually going straight. So they would move and it would cause an accident because some dumbass thought, hey, this person's not turning off at this spot here. So they forced you that if you're in that right lane, you ended up in the outside lane so that no one would move and you wouldn't get...
Okay, so basically what you're saying is something that I fully, wholeheartedly believe. The reason that we went stupid with it and now have a roundabout that makes absolutely no sense is because at no point in history of Queensland have they ever gone, you know what, we should actually make sure Queenslanders know how to drive.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly why it happened.
Should we be seeing if these people understand how to drive? No. Let's just complain that we have one of the highest death rates on our roads, which is one. And I always say this whenever there's a new thing on the news and they're like, another death in Queensland. I'm like, does this surprise anyone? One, the roads are terrible. Like literally terrible. Like, so many roads in Queensland are literally falling apart. 2, next to nearly every single road you can drive more than 80 kilometers an hour on is about a 3-foot ditch. And we're not talking like
It really is.
Here's the lanes of traffic. Here's at least a car width runoff just in case something goes wrong when you're traveling at that speed and you need to get onto the shoulder. No, we're talking about here's your lane of traffic. Or 2, here is about 2.5 centimeters of shoulder. So if something goes wrong, don't bother pulling over there because
you're in the ditch.
What's going to happen then is after that 2.5 centimeters, just a giant drop off. So not only are you not going to be on a shoulder where you can safely stop, you are actually going to be upside down in a burning wreck of a car. So
yeah.
And thirdly,
but at least the car's off the road.
At no point did they ever decide to teach Queenslanders how to drive properly. So we've got terrible roads that are falling apart, no safety for if something goes wrong when you're travelling in high speed, and people who can't drive.
Well, the next thing is
why are so many people dying on our roads?
When you're on your learners, it's a minimum of what?
100 hours. 120 hours.
It's 100 and something now. But no, there's a certain amount of time you have to do...
highway driving?
No, there's a certain amount of time you've got to do with a driving instructor.
Oh, is there now?
Yeah, when I was on my learners, it was like you had to do something like 10 hours with them. But it was like, if you did an hour with them, it counted as like
3 hours.
3 hours. Yeah. So it's like you only had to do 4 sessions with them, so it wasn't really 10 hours.
Yeah. I want to say...
having said that, they don't audit the books enough because... The problem is, I know someone who didn't do a single hour of driving on their learners, and they got their license.
Was it Nick?
No, Nick hasn't got his license yet.
Oh, thank God.
No, it was one of Jessica's friends.
That's for you, Nick.
Yeah. It was one of Jessica's friends. She got her license literally the next day, took all of her friends to the beach.
Should we get Nick his license?
He's working on it.
No, but should we make it our goal to get him his license?
I've told him many times. I will take him for a drive.
Well, see, here's the crazy thing. Now, I don't remember if it was me who actually had this because, of course, I have very interesting stories about my driver's license. I'll start with this first one. I can't remember if I actually had to do the 100 hours or because I applied for it. And then when they got back to me, they were like, okay, so it's 100 hours. Oh, but you applied for it back when it was 60 hours, so you only have to do that.
60. Okay.
So I was like, applied for it, and they were like, okay, yeah, by the time we get everything to you, it'll be the 100 hours. But because you got in like the day before it swapped, don't worry about
60.
it. I can't remember if it was me or Samantha, if I'm being honest. I know one of us had it. Not that,
Well, I knew for a fact when I was going for mine, it was definitely 100 hours, and I 100% knew it, so I think it would have been 100 hours for a couple of years.
Well, okay, so that was my learners, right? Then when I went for my P's, and I always find this story so funny to tell people, I failed my first P attempt because I turned onto a road that had roadworks, and I slowed down at the sign that was in front of me, but then the person doing my test was like, "Oh no,
You've got to slow down before.
This whole section's 40, and I'm like, "But the sign's there," and she went, "Oh no, the other sign's before where we turned off," and I was like, "Right, the law of the road is that you follow the last sign you saw. I didn't see that sign." She said, "Oh no, but the road was 40, so you fail automatically," and I was like, "So because they didn't put their signs out correctly,
you failed."
I failed?
Yeah.
So like a week later, I went back and like aced it. And I was just like...
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I passed my first one. Having said that, when it got to the...
And here's the funny thing. On the second one, they were like, "Oh, you did one thing wrong." And I was like, "Okay, what did I do wrong?" They went, "You didn't put your indicator on when you were turning on this street." I'm like, "This street ends in a turn. You literally have to turn. You can't do anything else." "Yeah, but you have to indicate." I'm like... Indicating is to show your intention. If you're on a road that only turns, your intention is clear.
And it's also the continuing road.
It's the continuing
We don't need
road.
to indicate on a continuing road.
But I was like, Hilsedine, my friend Hilsedine. Okay,
Yeah.
and then the third story, because I'll finish my entire license saga up to now, which there's a new chapter to the license saga. But my entire license saga was then in Sydney, because I wasn't driving in Sydney. And like, considering like when I was on my learners, I hated driving, like hated it.
I just had to drive with Mum, and that was most of my learners.
It was a chore. When I was on my learners, driving was a chore. Now I love driving. Like, just chuck me in a car, give me some keys and some petrol money, and I'm off.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I was in Sydney. I hadn't been driving. Like, literally the only time I drove was when I was back here. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh man, I gotta look at this." I'm like, this was on my green peas. There was no issue going from my red peas to my green peas because it was a piece of piss.
Yeah, it really was.
So I'm on my green peas looking at it, and I'm like, "When do I get my open license?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on my green peas. Like, when do I have to go in and get my open license?" And of course, Samantha takes my license, looks at it and goes, "You already are on your opens." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And it's like, right there. Like, because it was the old license system where it's like a piece of laminated paper.
Oh yes, I just missed that one. Literally, it started the year. Actually, I think it was about 2 months before I went for my learners.
Yeah.
They started the new thing.
Yeah, no. This was the laminated piece of paper. Hand it back to me and goes, "See there? That tiny little piece of writing?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "That says your P's finish on this date and your open starts this date." And I'm like, "Oh God, this is the most unprofessional license I've ever
It was real
seen."
weird when I got onto it. You couldn't actually pay for more than your P's.
Yeah.
So they forced you to only pay for the 3 years. So the moment your license expired, you're on your opens.
The way that it should work.
They've now changed it back to the other way. You can pay for your 5 years. And it's like, dumbasses.
But yeah, no, as I said, that paper license was one of the funniest
It's
things.
kind of illegal to drive with
One of the
3
funniest
Ps
things I ever had because, like, you know, up here everyone was just used to it.
Yeah.
It's a piece of laminated paper. You give it to the security. They look at it. They go, "Yep." You give it to anyone who needs to check your ID. They go, "Yep, rightio." When I was in Sydney, I used to give it to people for like ID checks, and they'd be like, "This is fake, right?" I'm like, "No, that's legitimately the Queensland one." They're like, "It's a piece of paper that's laminated." I'm like,
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah, Queensland doesn't really care about fake IDs, I guess."
Yeah.
Because you could literally make one.
You could do it at home. You don't need to go buy one off of someone. It's fucking stupid.
But yeah, so so now we're on the new licenses. I'm on my opens, no issues there. Until recently, when a little company called Optus got hacked, and now I have to go get a new license.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Not just a new license number, new everything.
Oh Jesus!
So it is the end of that saga at the moment. Hopefully forever, the license saga. But it is also the most annoying thing.
Yeah, no, that's
also, and this is just something that annoys me personally, like with Optus going like, "Oh yeah, by the way, your information was hacked," and then like 2 days later, "Yeah, so remember how all your information was hacked because our cybersecurity was shit? Here's your $100 bill." Like, you've got a lot of nerve, Optus.
You bastards. So
I'm gonna have to go down to the fucking main transports, get my new license, fix up my Medicare card, get a new one of those.
Oh fuck.
Fucking try and remember all the other information that you have of me, which fortunately isn't a great deal because, like, I never gave them my passport or anything, thank God. But all of that, and then 2 days later you have the nerve to be like, oh, and by the way, you owe us money. I'm like, you think what? You think that maybe like a month credit on that, and you're just going, look, we fucked up. Here's a month. Don't worry about your phone bill this month.
We know you've got to go pay for a new license.
Well, you don't have to pay for it, fortunately. It's free. It is free because of the Queensland government, and the Queensland government is so normally you can't get a new license until you've got proof that it's been used in fraud.
Yes.
Someone trying to be you.
Yes.
However, because of the 10 million people whose information could have been leaked, pretty much every Australian state went, yeah, we'll just, if you've been affected, you can get your new stuff. We don't want to be sitting on this for years waiting for that to come back and something to happen.
Yeah.
Just do it. So that's literally something I probably should do tomorrow. Go down and get that fixed. And it could take anywhere from an hour, well, it could take anywhere from 15 minutes to 2.5 hours. 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on how big the fucking lines are. But I'm just like, it's a lot of nerve of you, Optus, to be like, okay, so your information was leaked.
Yes.
But also, pay us. I'm like, real smooth.
Big move right there. Yeah.
Bit of a question of whether or not I even think you should be able to ask me to pay anymore, and bit of a question whether or not I should just be able to say, Optus, I don't want to be with you anymore, and you have to cop, the end of my contract now. They're like, you've got to pay out your contract before you finish. If they could even ask for that at this point in time.
Yeah, no, that's
because it's kind of like,
first thing.
As I said, like, question. It's like, oh, but it was one breach, and it's like, when you actually look back on it, there's been a few of these situations with Optus in the past. Just never affecting so many people, so it never really came to the light of day. However, the government did say that at one point, many years ago, that Optus security wasn't up to snuff and they had to fix it, and apparently they never did.
It doesn't sound like it, yeah.
So, yes, so that is the whole license saga at the moment.
Yeah, so back to that other thing.
Yes.
So, sister's friend got the license without doing a single hour of driving.
Absolutely.
Takes them all to the beach.
Right.
Parks. Couldn't figure out how to start the manual car. So she got a manual license.
How did she pass the test?
I don't know.
Because starting the manual car is part of the test.
I don't think she was using hers. So it was like, I think, I don't know what happened. So it was like, she had trouble starting the car.
Mm.
Then she was too scared to reverse out of the car park. So one of the other girls who hadn't had the license and barely done any driving had to reverse out for her so that she could then drive home.
Yeah, see, and this is why so many people die on the roads in Queensland.
Yeah. But when it came to
terrible conditions, death pits, people can't drive.
Yeah. So when it came to my license, I passed my P's test on the first try. However, when it came to my green P's test, 2 months it took me to get that.
Well, that's a funny test, isn't it? Click on the hazard, but don't click on it too soon. Don't spam click it. And don't click on it too late. Also click on the hazard. Or the thing that might become a hazard.
But don't click on everything.
Don't click on everything. Even though everything can become a hazard. Why'd you click on that tree? That tree's not a hazard. Yeah, but what if its branch suddenly fell off and fell onto my car? That's a hazard. It's a very stupid test.
But here's the thing. The problem was, you had to go through, watch the video, click, do that.
Yeah.
When I was doing it, they had a problem with the site.
Nice.
So what had happened is, I'd get through, 4 of the videos, and be like, cool, it's taking a lot longer to load this time. Sweet. It must be finished, and it's just telling me whether I've passed or failed.
Incorrect.
No, it crashed. So I then have to reopen it and then go resume. You could only resume the test 3 times. I would resume it, it'd crash. Resume, crash, resume, crash. You failed for the day.
Right.
So I had to try it again. And I have to keep doing that.
Is that a daily thing? You could try it every day?
You could try it every day.
Oh, fuck, that's so bad.
Yeah, I know it is. But here's the thing. Then I tried it the next day. Same thing happened. Next day, same thing happened. And I'm like, fuck it. I can't be bothered to do it right now. I'll just stay on my reds for a little while.
I'm on my reds.
And then a week later, I'm like, fuck it, let's try it again. Fail. I'm like, you motherfucker. So I went into the Department of Transport.
Here's a funny thing.
Because I'm like, surely the Department of Transport has an area where you can go to because you don't have a computer at home. that you could do the green peas test.
You would think so.
They don't. So I went there and they're like, you just got to do it at home. It's like, yeah, but it keeps crashing. It's like, oh, well, then try going to the library. It's like, I tried that. Same thing's happening. There is something wrong with the test on the website. It's constantly doing it.
Hmm.
And she's like, oh, well, then you're just going to have to keep trying until it works. It's like, what? So I'm constantly failing because of your system.
It's a good system.
It's a great system. But I failed. And so it ended up taking me 2 months to get it. And it was like, the end of the 2 months, I was like, oh, maybe I've got it. And then I finally ended up getting it. It's a good system. It's a great system. But it took ages to get it, and it was a load of shit.
It's a good system. No, it's a stupid system. Although, here's something funny, because I was, honestly, as I said, I've been off my P's for so long now, I can't even remember the rules for the P's. I was running along the other night, and I was like, I know in red peas, I know the alcohol laws, let's put it that way.
Yes.
But I was like, I'm sure green peas have passenger limits, specifically after 11 p.m.
No, I think they might now, but I think when I was on it, they got rid of some of them.
Okay.
So that it's like initially while you're under reds,
because I know
if it's
when
after
I was
11
on them,
o'clock, you can be driving by yourself.
yes,
Or you can have
members.
one other person in there that's not a family member,
Mm-hmm.
but you could have the car filled with family members. Otherwise, you were driving by yourself.
Yes.
As soon as you got onto your reds, greens, obviously family members were still there. That never changed because that was just standard. I think your friends you were allowed an extra, like, 1 or 2.
Okay. Because I was just like, I remember distinctly that because of the way they think about it, and they go, what we don't want is at midnight a P-plater with a bunch of their friends in a car driving on roads that are practically empty, because that's going to cause an accident. And I was like, I actually agree with you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You don't want that kind of
You
thing.
don't want a bunch of idiots on the road.
Because the P-platers go, and we've seen this happen so many times. Like, literally, there's a lot of accidents out there that are pretty much this. P-plater in a car with their friends, do something stupid, like TikTok videos, or Instagram posts, or their friends just like, there's one on the road, you can drive faster, and then bang, crash, people die. So I get that, like, fully support that, whatever. But I was just like, I was just driving behind this P-plater the other night at like midnight, because I was going to McDonald's to get some McDonald's food because I'm a fat fuck. And I'm behind this P-plater and I'm looking at the car and I'm like, it's like 1:45. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's definitely past the...
I'm like, it's 1:45, and I'm like, I'm getting my Macca's, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, that is a car full of P-plater, like a P-plater. And I'm like, and it's full of teenagers. I'm like,
yeah.
Because being school holidays, I was like, that's why they're out this late. But I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, isn't that illegal? Aren't they supposed to be restricted because we can't trust them?
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I haven't kept up with the P-plate rules because I'm not on them.
Yeah, well, same. I honestly couldn't be fucked. Wait, is Kalisha on the P-plate? She might be.
How old is she?
20.
Did she get them on time?
Probably.
If she did, then she should be off them by now. Because if you got your learners on your birthday, then on your birthday a year later you get your Ps.
Right.
You'll be on your opens by 20. Because you get your Ls at 16.
Yes.
Ps at
17.
Can't get it any earlier than that. Because if you try to do the test the day before them, actually, no, that doesn't matter. Yeah, so you got to wait a year for that one. Then you go for your green peas a year later. You're not allowed to do it a day earlier.
I thought it was a year and a half.
No, year.
Okay.
Well, so basically, you had to do 3 years on your peas.
Yep.
You had to do a minimum of a year on your reds.
Yep.
You could technically do a month on your green peas, and it doesn't matter because you've still done 3 years on your...
Right, okay, yep.
So it's literally just minimum of 1 year on red.
Yep.
And so... most commonly, the moment you were able to get off your reds, you got off your reds because of, the targeting.
Well, also...
I don't think it happens as much anymore, but definitely when I was on my red peas,
No, it still
there
happens.
was fucking...
So happens.
It was a
Fucking
shit
still
ton
happens
of
to me.
time.
If they see if I've got like a hat on in the car or something, and they see me, it's like, get that son of a bitch.
No, well,
Get him.
Well, what I mean is they pull over a red P-plater for the sake of pulling over a red P-plater, then look for an issue.
Yeah.
I was like, do you know why I pulled you over? I was like, no, but I did see you walking over searching my car and then telling me what you pulled me over for.
That's well, that still happens with green P-platers. But
it does, but it's not.
It literally also
not as
happens
common.
with me. Like literally, like if I put my fucking Lakers cap on and go out for a drive and get pulled over, like, yeah, we're just pulling you over to do a check, and it's like, okay.
See, and I don't even get pulled over as often, which is weird.
Is it?
Well, I mean, I'm not on a list or anything.
Not true. No, but like
but it is a thing of
I
like...
did know a few people who, like, if they were seen driving cars,
But
like, their cars were targeted.
100%. It's like, but the thing
Mind
is,
you,
like, you see a
Let's
see a V8 driving around Rockhampton.
Let's
and
put
you're
this
like,
down.
Okay,
The
something.
reason the people who I knew's cars were being targeted by the police is not because the police are dicks. It's because they had driving-related rap sheets longer than they were tall.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Both had lost their license multiple times.
Oh, yeah, you are 100% on this.
So it was fair that they were being targeted.
The only downside is with the way it works is your car gets put on a list.
Yeah, so if anyone's driving your car, then you get,
You sell your car, 5 years later, that person is still getting pulled over constantly.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
That's that car.
You know, because like one of the guys, he would let other people borrow his car, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, so and so's borrowing my car," and it's like, so I've told them to be super fucking careful, because it was like he was a couple of years younger than me, and the people who he was letting borrow his car were a couple of years younger than him, like they were like 22. He's like, I told them driving my car to be like the super careful as they could be, like no slip ups whatsoever, and they were like, why? And he's like, because the cops know my car. Because he had like personalised plates and everything. He had a 4-wheel drive that he'd done up, so it was kind of obvious already. Then he had personalised plates put on it, so it was even more obvious. So I was like, a cop could drive past like and see his license plate and just be like,
"That's that guy."
Mind you, also at the same time, he had a suspended license.
Oh, geez. So, yeah, so the moment they see his car driving around, it's like, oh, we got to pull that guy over because he's possibly driving it.
Yeah. Have to pull it over because he might be driving it, and if he's driving it, he's going to jail. Like, that kind of suspended.
Oh, shit, that kind. Okay, yes.
That kind of suspended, so one more strike, you're gone, son.
Yeah, okay.
So, that was happening. The 22-year-old's driving it, and he was like, I think it was two 22-year-old girls who were his friends. And he was just like, you be super fucking careful. Like, seriously.
This is not just me wanting to take care of my car.
This isn't me saying, like, I want to look after my car. This is, which he didn't, because, like, literally when he wasn't on suspended license, we're like, Leif, why isn't your car here? And he'd be like, oh yeah, I took it out on the weekend and broke it again.
It's okay, yeah.
Or like,
so you didn't care.
You broke it again? And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, okay, I fixed it. And then, like, the next weekend, I broke it again. So anyway... So he's like, you gotta be really careful. It's like, do not speed. Do not do anything sort of illegal. Make sure you always indicate. And they're like, yeah, whatever. They literally drove it out of his driveway to the first intersection, onto the road. Police car pulled him over. And he's like, I just got a phone call from him, and we're like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, cops pulled him over practically the second they left my house. And we're just like, well, like, is that a surprise? He's like, no. Because I told him it was going to happen, and they were like, they were bitching about it as they do, as 20-year-old girls tend to do. I'm bitching about it. It's like, I told you. He said, I told you when you asked if you could borrow my car, what would happen?
You will get pulled over, so don't do anything illegal.
Yeah. But, yeah, as I said, like, I just find it funny, like, because, and as I said, when I'm wearing that hat, I get targeted. Of course, the long blonde hair doesn't help, but, like, I'll be driving along, I'll see a cop car go past, and then it's like, it'll turn around and come back up. It's like, we're just doing a, random breath test. It's like, right. When was the last time you had alcohol? Like 2-3 months ago. Oh, okay. While we're here, we'll just do a random drug test. I'm like,
you arse.
Random, eh? Random.
I've never had a random drug test.
I have, and I've told you this, I have been pulled over 3 times on the same day, at the same place, for random drug tests. And, like, the second time, I'm like to the cop, so we're going to do this all day? And he's like, oh, yeah, you've been here before. I'm like, yep. And he's like, not much we can do now. We've pulled you over. We have to do it. And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, you pulled me over like 20 minutes ago. He's like, yeah, okay. And the third time was again, okay. It was later in the afternoon, but pulled over. I see the same cop. I'm just like, he was like, oh, right. I'm like, the guy's waving us in. I'm like, I don't think it's random, mate. I'm like, because random isn't 3 times in one day. And he goes, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And I was like, he was like, yeah, okay, right. And I was just like, very unimpressed.
Yeah.
So, this was when I was on my P's.
Yeah.
Green P's, probably. New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I was stone cold sober because I was like, I went to a New Year's party and I was like, with all my friends from school, obviously.
Yeah.
It was my first time back from Sydney. I was going over to hang out with them and I was like, I don't really know if I want to get stuck there. I'm like, I've been in Sydney for a year.
Yes.
Haven't really talked to any of these people. I'm coming to the party because they're my friends and I want to catch up with them, but I'm like, we're not at high school together anymore, you know?
No.
Rifts happen, everyone gets different. And of course, I'd been in Sydney, so I was now better than them. While they'd been here, I'd been away educating myself and
Imagine if they listened to this.
living in culture. So I was better than them. So, you know, my
Had to slip it in there a second time after that comment.
absolutely. My principles may have changed, and I didn't want to get stuck there until, you know, the taxis, until we started like going all heading off. So I was like, I'm just gonna stay sober. I'm like, I'm gonna have fun, chat with everyone. Good news was that even though I was now better than them, they were still my friends, so it was all good.
That's good. Yeah.
It's kind of like me and you, you know. I'm better than you, but we're still pretty good.
I mean, in some aspects.
I'm gonna go all aspects.
I wouldn't say all.
Well, I can breathe.
Shit.
Yep.
I mean, I can breathe. It's not well.
Yeah, well, come on. Anyway, no. So yeah, anyway, the point was, I didn't want to get stuck at a party because I'm me, and I hate being stuck at parties. I hate being stuck at places where it's like, I can't leave. Which is like, even when I go over to yours and Jordan's places, and it's like, oh yeah, we're just having people around for drinks, and like everyone like starts pulling out their bottles of spirits. I'm like,
6-pack?
I've got a 6-pack of beers and I'm going to drink 2 of them. Because that means I can leave whenever the fuck I feel like it.
It is true.
As soon as shit starts getting silly, I'm out.
Unless you're the one causing it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not actually true, because usually if shit gets silly, it's me.
Generally.
And I'll do that stone cold sober.
You will?
But, yeah, so in this party, having a great time, catching up with all my friends. They're all like, how's Sydney? And I'm like, oh, it's better than Rockhampton. And they're like, ah! And I'm like, no, I'm not joking. That's just
true.
That's just the truth. But and then it got to the end of the night, and like, so everyone's differing levels of drunk.
Yeah.
Some of my friends are pass out drunk. Others are like, we want to go to the clubs, and I was like, okay. I'm like, I'm sober. I have my car here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm willing to drive everyone where they've got to go. And the guy whose house it was, he was also relatively sober, so he was like, sweet. He goes, I'll look after them here, you get them where they're going, everyone's fine. So, loaded up the first lot to the clubs, straight over there. Peep later. Pulled over by the cops.
Yep.
Breath test. I'm doing a breath test, drunken Magoos are in the car. Not making my life any easier.
Never
like,
will.
middle of the breath test, they start turning off the radio and shit like that.
Oh, fuck's sake.
I was like, fucking slapping their hands. All good, carry on. Cop says, you know, have a good day. You know, just be careful. There's crazy people on the road. And I was like, yes.
Yes.
Drop them off the club. Go get the second lot. Bring them to the club. Mind you, and of course, a few of them had to get changed to go out to the clubs because they were wearing like singlets and shorts. So, going to the club, pulled over by the same cop.
Oh, God.
He like sees me. He's like, I'm like, yeah, this is the second load. He's like, okay. It's like, I'm not going to breath test you. He's like, it's literally been like 15 minutes. He goes, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Drive off, drop him off, get the third group, come over. His partner comes. His partner's there. He goes, we pulled this car over before. He goes, I'm just going to have to breath test it because, you know, now it's been like an hour.
Yeah. You could have had a drink.
I could have had a drink. And he was like, okay, let's just do this. drop them off. But more importantly, like, the other one came over while I was doing it. He's looking at me, he's like, so I'm like, this is the last group. I'm like, I'm not coming back. He's like, so we won't see you anymore tonight? I'm like, no. He's like, off you go, wave him off. Get back to the party. I'm like, okay, now it's time to, because me and Dan have pretty much been like, get all the people that want to go to the clubs out. Get them out of the door. Because they all wanted to get in before lockout, obviously. Not lockout, before you had to pay to get in, because this was back in the old days.
Oh, yeah.
When you, before, like, I think it was like,
10?
no, this was before 11:30. So if you got in before 11:30, you didn't have to pay.
Okay, so they changed that to 10 a couple of years back.
Yeah. And now it's just you have to pay straight away, isn't it?
Depends on what time. Depends on whether you're in the. No, yeah. As soon as upstairs opens, depends on where you are.
Okay. But anyway, so
and what day it is.
So that happened. So we're back now. I've just got all of the passed out people.
Yeah.
And we are just like loading them into my car, and like we got one of our friends, and we're like trying to get her out, and we're kind of like, "Can you walk?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm good." So like each of us under her arms, and she kind of just got dragged along by us. We get out the front door, and then she's like, "Wait," and we're like, "Oh no!" And she's like, "Where's the garden?" We're like, "Go." So I sit there. There's a bunch of passed out people, and I'm just like, I am so glad that all of the cops are on the south side right now. When you have a car full of passed out people, gas attack. Oh, you wouldn't believe me, I told you. Me and my friends, just chilling in our car. All of a sudden, Russians, gas, in there, knocking them all out. Me, Constitution like a champion.
Yeah.
Just... So I think of your gas, Russians. But no, I was like, God damn it. But yeah, oh fuck, it was funny. Like, and being, like, that is one of my simple pleasures in life, is like being the soberest in a group of really, really drunk people, because they say some fucking hilarious things to you.
Oh, they do. They really do.
Like, I love you, man. I love you too. Oh, man. You're such a good friend. Where have you been? I've been in Sydney. What are you doing there? Come, why aren't you at home? I'm like, because I'm in Sydney. Got this one. I got one. And it was one of the ones I dropped to the club. But like for the entire like 4 hours of the party, because he was drunk when I got there, like every half hour I'd come up and be like, Darcy, I haven't seen you in ages. I've been like, yeah, no, I've been in Sydney, man. He's like, oh, how's that? I'm like, loving it. And he's like, awesome. I'm going to go get another drink. And then like half an hour later, Darcy, you're here. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I haven't seen you in ages. Where have you been? Sydney, man.
Yeah, that sounds about right. No,
I'm also a mean drunk. When I was in Sydney, I'd get drunk, and we had two little Japanese guys at our college, Junior and Andy. And because I'm an asshole, and I always call people whatever I feel like, one day I'm drinking, and I run to Andy, and I see him. He's like, Darcy. I'm like, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, Junior, and he goes, Darcy, it's Andy. I'm like, I know. I'm just like, it was funny to see your face. He's like, you're a prick. I'm like, yes, I am.
Yep.
But I was like, sitting there, I was like, Junior.
It's like Sean calling me an asshole at work, and I just turn and look at him like, yes, I am.
I never claimed to be anything else. Oh man, I love just hearing like clippets of the news when I'm like walking past, and they're always like, "Why is this happening?" And it's like super easy answer. It's like whenever they talk about the rental crisis right now, and they're like, people can't get into homes. It's like, yes. Do you know why? And no one can explain why. No, I've got it right here. It's because landlords are going, people need houses, so they're paying through the roof for houses. So my shitbox property, I'm going to change the rent from $150 a week to $300 a week, because there's no regulation on it, obviously.
Well, then you've got the ones that are... you've got the landlord, of course, but then the ones that are actually still controlled by the real estate.
Yeah. Because
they're just like, I have so many, you deal with it. The real estate is the one that decides the price, which way they choose.
But as I'm saying, the answer to why there's a rental issue is super simple. Because demand is high, so prices can be higher than they should be for a lot of these properties.
Yes.
But because prices are so high, people can't afford it, but the demand is still there. It's like, why is there a rental crisis? Because there's no regulation.
Yes.
There's no one walking around going, this is a 2-bedroom shitbox. You're asking $400 a week? You're dreaming. Max you can put on this place is $150.
Unless you do a full renovation.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I sit there and I go like, I look at the world we live in and I listen to the news and I go, and they sit there and they go, why is this happening? Oh, why are the death tolls in Queensland so high? Why is the rental crisis? And it's like, okay, stop, look at the world logically, and then there's your answer.
It's pretty straightforward.
It's not rocket science.
A lot of it is very much straightforward.
Find the easiest answer. That's usually the correct one.
And, well, yes, in the current world.
If you take all the lines and pull them to their conclusion, and you go, oh, well, there's the reason, that's your reason. You don't pull them all there and go, okay, so now I'm going to move this and say I don't know why it's all happening.
It's almost...
They all make sense if you look at it in this way, but if I don't look at that, I can say, why is this happening?
It's true.
Why is this happening?
It's like the thing of even buying a house, like buying your own home right now is tough because everything that's happening is landlords are going, oh, well, demand's high, so I need to buy more. So they buy the house, and it's like, it's only up for rent. It's like, so the person wanting to buy their house now has to build their house because there's none available.
Let me tell you, I have,
which is why so many people
as someone who has studied
houses.
architecture and can in fact design houses, though is not qualified to do that because I never got a piece of paper.
Yes.
I'm fully on board for people building houses. I really think it's a good idea.
Yes.
Depending. It's a good idea, depending. Renting is actually a really good idea if you're in a place that you don't see as your forever home. Kind of like,
I agree with that.
For me in Rockhampton, if I was to move out of my parents' house, which would be ridiculous in the current market,
yes.
The answer would be rental for me. Because then I can leave whenever the fuck I feel like it. Which is a really good thing when you're living in a place you don't want to stay.
Well, even then, it depends. It's not even a situation of you can leave whenever you want now because of the way the current things are.
True, but I'm not like...
if you leave and you've got 3 months left, you still need to pay until they find someone new. And if it's stupidly high still, no one new can go in.
Yeah.
So it's the thing of like, you move to a new rental and it's like, well, now I'm paying two.
The way we look at it though, because this comes down to an actual theology point of view, is that if you own property, you are pretty much chained to the spot you're at because you really have to sell that property. It's too much of a financial block to like, unless you are swimming in the dough, you can't leave. My parents can't leave Rockhampton and go to Adelaide and still own this house and hope to get a house in Adelaide. They need to sell this place so that they have the finances to buy a new place.
Correct, yes.
Whereas renting, you don't have that block. So, especially for young people, they go, you buy a house in, let's say, Rockhampton, and then, as I said, Mr. Cigar and Monocle Top Hat walks up to you and goes, hey, I'm going to offer you $200,000 a year to come work for me in my factory down in this city. And you go, 200? That's good money. I want that job. I need to go get that job. Oh, but mate, I got a house here. I've got to sell that. I've got to do this. It limits your opportunities to...
Oh, it does.
See, now, that's a really big example where everyone listening that goes, you're going to get that house, you sell that house, and then you rent down there because you're on such good money. But, like, if it's a difference of, like, hey, I'm currently being paid $28 an hour, and in Sydney, for a similar job, they're going to offer me $32 an hour, that's a good hourly increase, but not enough that if you own a property here, you can afford to be paying a mortgage here while you're trying to sell it, as well as renting down there.
Yeah.
You know, so...
You pretty much, as you're moving out, it's being sold.
Yeah, it's a limiting factor, whereas rental is kind of like...
It's like what parents had to do to move into the place Dad's in now.
Yeah.
They sold the house.
Yeah.
The day that we were basically... the keys were getting handed to the person, to the people moving in. The day after, we were moving out.
Mm-hmm.
The keys for the house we were going into were being handed to us the day we were moving out.
Yeah.
And it was that whole situation of like, this is very difficult because we've got someone on top of us while we're trying to go into this place, but they've now got someone on top of them while they're trying to get into their place.
Yeah.
And it just puts us whole backlog. Like, we ended up having to leave stuff in the shed and talking to the new owners and being like, look, we were given today to move out. This is a family of 6.
Yeah. Anyway,
we have a lot of shit.
The point is that's kind of the way we look at how the rental market should work. The rental market is for people who want that mobility. But once you've settled down to where you want, the place you want to live, and you're like, this is where I want to stay for at least my foreseeable future.
Yes.
Like, maybe when I'm an old and I'm no longer working, I want to move somewhere else. When you get to that situation, that's when I think you should definitely build. And you should definitely build with an architect. This is my main point from before.
Not just the builder. It's
build with an architect.
3 options
because
we have.
then you get what you want for what you want to live with.
Yes.
And I think that's best for a lot of situations, because it's like a lot of people make do. They go like, oh, this house is on the market for my price range, and they go into the house and like, yeah, we can do this, we can do, and then it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, we've just kind of made do. And it's like, if it's your forever house, if it's the house you foresee yourself living in for the, for the most of the rest of your life, it should really be something that you want set up. It should be in that setup that you want. Yeah. If you're someone who has your own business and you want a big in-home office, well, guess what? Not a lot of houses actually have that. So you end up going like into a bedroom or something, being like, yep, this is going to be my office. But the bedroom isn't really set up to be an office, so you've got like power cable issues, everything. Yeah. Whereas if you design your house with someone who designs houses, you get what you want and you get it set up how you want.
Right, so it's like if I was to
do you know how much a builder
room into a
do you know how much a builder charges to add a PowerPoint to a room?
No.
It's like $1,000.
Ridiculous.
It's like, oh yeah, here's a house plan that we've already drawn up for you, right? It costs usually like, let's say $250,000. And you look at the kitchen, you go, the kitchen only has 2 PowerPoints in it, and they're only doubles.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 PowerPoints for the entire kitchen. It's not enough PowerPoints for a kitchen. Can I change one of them to a quad? Can I change both of them to quads? Would be perfect. Yeah, that'll be like $3,000. It's like extra. The house isn't even built. It's just when you put these in, instead of getting a 2, you get a 4. Yeah, that's about $1,000. Okay, well, can I get another one put in here then? Yeah, same price. It's like, whereas if you design it yourself, yes, it's going to cost more from the get go. Like, then I'm going to say, hey, it's $250,000. They're going to say like, we'll design it and then we'll give you the,
Then we'll give you a price.
We can sit down with you. We'll design it. It'll have, and then once it's done, and we'll give it to the builders, and then that's where your pricing comes into it. It's more expensive. However, everything you get everything you want.
It's true.
You're not missing anything. You have rooms designed for what you want those rooms to be used for.
Yeah.
And that's not to say later down the road that you change your mind and you need rooms to be used for different things, but you're not going into a place like Jordan's, which is a very old house.
It is.
And going, like, it's fine for him, he's an electrician. He goes, I need more PowerPoints, he can add it. But, like, you think for a person who's not an electrician, going to a house, an old house, where it's like, oh yeah, back in the days when this was built, you only needed 2 PowerPoints per room. Yeah, no, now you need way more than that. It's like, my room upstairs, back when this house was built, it had 2 PowerPoints in it. One was a double, one was a single PowerPoint.
Yes.
And that was completely useless because I needed 2 boards, one off each other, to actually have enough stuff to like plug in my phone and my laptop and stuff, my bedside lamp and my fucking bedside clock and everything. And it was just like, old houses do not fit the current needs. And that's the same true for even stuff like fuse boxes.
No, yeah, that's for sure.
Internet cabling. Like, let's face it, you build a house now, you pretty much go like, I want
data points in every room. Yeah.
So I can. Old houses go, oh yeah, there's like 1 data point for the entire house, maybe 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Like this house has 1 there and 1 upstairs. That's it. That's all the data points for the house.
Well, back in the day, that's all you needed.
That's all you need because that's where your phone was plugged in.
Yeah.
In the modern world, it limits you severely as to how you can actually plan your house. Like this room, this study, my desk and all my computers and stuff could not be put anywhere else in the house without having to run cables everywhere. As you saw when I was out there.
It's like, out of the 8 points that are in my room, PowerPoints, 2 of them aren't being used currently.
And all of them were put in by Jordan.
2 of them were, 2 doubles were already there.
Okay.
because they were the ones that are in the brick walls.
Oh, yeah.
So, 2 of them were already there. Actually, no, 1 of them was there. 2 of them were already there. He added the other 2 in, and then also added 2 double data points.
Yep. And that's what you need in reality. Like that's why.
And so
that's why I do believe in, if you are buying a house and you foresee it as the home you will live in until for your,
at least
the rest of your
future.
job, like the rest of your working life, let's call it that.
Yes.
You should really consider building it. I mean, you should really just build it. I know it's hard. We live in a world where it's like stuff is ridiculously expensive and people are ridiculously underpaid. But it's like,
oh yeah,
I sit there and I go like, if you're in that position, do it. Like, seriously, pull the trigger, bite the bullet, and do it this way, because the payoffs are so much better than trying to fit yourself into something that was never designed for the modern world. And that's something that people really don't understand. You go, oh, my house was built in the 70s. It's not that old. It's like, 50 years old? And it's like, in the 70s, people never thought we would have home computers and
a TV in every fucking room.
TVs in every room, 7 boxes plugged into the TVs, because it was like, I've got my TV, it's plugged into the wall. Okay, what about your DVD player? You're this, you're that, your smart box or whatever, what do they call it? Satellite TV.
Yeah.
What about all this kind of stuff? It's like, none of that existed.
Yeah, so like in mine, I've got the TV's plugged in. Plugged into the TV is a soundbar.
Then all the consoles. 1
console is plugged into the TV, because the other 3 are plugged into the soundbar.
No. But it's like, old houses, like even 30-year-old houses, were not designed for a modern world. It's like, same with cars. Think about a 30-year-old car. It has no iPod connectivity. It has nothing that you can plug a USB in for USB charging. Yet a modern car has all of that. And it's because the world has changed so much in that time that really, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. But more importantly, that is my 2 cents on building houses. Why you should always consider building houses. And if you are looking for a new house and you have the money and it is going to be the house that you live in for the rest of your working career, you should always consider building it.
Yes.
And you should always consider building it not through a builder who's going to give you what they've already designed. Well, they haven't designed it, but give you a design that already exists and say,
well, we've done this like 60
can you
times.
We reckon you can fit your life into that, because it's ridiculous. But that being said, anything to add? No? We are actually running out of time. We have like 12 minutes to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, thank you for joining us. This one has been mainly about building houses and licenses.
Yeah, it has been.
It's funny how those things kind of work out in the end. But thank you for joining us. This has been the Unnamed podcast with me, Darcy, and him, Kris.
Yes.
If you liked it, consider liking, subscribing. Hey, look us up on Patreon at DKProductions. Don't tell them it doesn't exist. Yeah, so look us up on Patreon. Have a look at that. Still doesn't exist. Not yet, at least. And we will catch you next time. See you guys.